Everyone has a secret. But not every secret was meant to stay buried. Welcome to the confession chamber. I have not slept a full night in 4 years. Not because of work, not because of stress, because every time I close my eyes, I see his face. I'm 33. I live in a city in Pakistan, if it matters, though it could be anywhere where the streets smell like dust and prayer and expectation. I have a job, a small apartment, a mother who tells everyone in the family that her son turned out well, that her son is a good man. I have let her say that for years. And I am here today because I cannot let her say it one more time without telling someone, anyone, the truth I have been carrying alone since I was 26 years old. 7 years ago, I killed someone. Not with a weapon, not with intention, but with choices. A chain of small, stupid, selfish choices that ended in one moment I cannot take back, no matter how many times I replay it, no matter how many prayers I have offered up in mosques where I sat in the back row, quietly, like a man who doesn't deserve the front. I was 26. I had just started a new job in a textile company, logistics, nothing glamorous. I was driving a company vehicle. It was late, maybe 11 at night, after a long shift. I was tired. I was also texting, just texting. My cousin had sent something funny, some joke, and I thought I would just glance down for 1 second. 1 second. There was a man on a motorbike. He came from the left, from a narrow lane, the kind of lane that opens suddenly in those old city streets. I saw him at the last moment. I swerved, but not enough. He went down. The bike skidded. He hit the road hard. I stopped the car. I got out. I walked to him. He was conscious, barely. He was older, maybe 50-something, wearing a shalwar kameez, a small topi on his head. He looked at me with these eyes that I will never, never forget as long as I live. Not angry eyes, confused eyes, like he didn't understand what had just happened to him, like the world had suddenly changed without warning, and he was still trying to catch up. I panicked. I told myself I would call someone. I told myself I would get help. I looked around. The street was mostly empty, a few distant lights, someone a block away who hadn't noticed yet, and I left. I got back in the car. I drove away. That is my confession. That is the thing I have been living with every single day for 7 years. Why did I leave? I have asked myself that question until the question itself has become part of my breathing, part of my blood. At the time, in that moment, my mind went somewhere very dark and very fast. I thought, if I stay, I will go to jail. My family will be destroyed. My father was already sick then. He died the following year, cancer. And I thought, if I stay, if this comes out, it will kill him faster. I told myself I was protecting him. But that is not the whole truth. The whole truth is that I was a coward, plain and simple. A 26-year-old coward who chose his own life over a stranger's, and then spent the next 7 years constructing a world where he could still look at himself in the mirror. I went home that night, and I sat in the bathroom for 2 hours. I was shaking. I checked the news the next morning, and the morning after that, his name eventually appeared. He had died in hospital 4 hours after the accident. He was 53 years old. He had 3 children. He was a tailor who worked late sometimes, taking orders from people's homes, riding his motorbike back through those same narrow city streets. His name was in the newspaper for one day. Then nothing. I was not named. Nobody had seen me. The company car had no obvious damage on the part that made contact. I had the front bumper quietly repaired 3 days later, telling the mechanic I'd scraped a wall, and life continued. The consequences of what I did are not what you might expect. There was no dramatic unraveling, no confrontation, no police at my door. The punishment I received was entirely internal, and it has been, in some ways, worse than anything external could have been. I started performing well at work, obsessively well, like I was trying to earn something back through discipline. I prayed more than I ever had in my life. I gave charity. I sponsored a child's education through one of those organizations. I still do, every month. I don't know why. Maybe I thought God was keeping score, and I was in debt. I got close to my father in his last year, spent time with him in a way I hadn't since childhood. When he died, I sat by his bed and held his hand and told him I loved him, and I meant it with every part of me. But underneath that love was this horrible, suffocating awareness. He never knew who his son really was. He died believing in a version of me that does not exist. That is the part that breaks me most. My mother, she is everything to me. In our culture, a mother and son have a specific kind of bond. She sacrificed her whole life for me and my brothers. She went without things, so we wouldn't have to. She prayed for us before she prayed for herself. And she tells people, "My son is a good man. My son has a good heart." Every time she says it, something in me collapses a little more quietly. I have never been in a serious relationship. I've been close twice, but both times I ended it before it could go somewhere real. I told myself it was bad timing, incompatibility, but the truth is simpler and uglier. I don't think